Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. The children all playing. And so, if you hear a lot of chaos, running in the halls, clapping, you name it, understand the children must play. Okay, this is the Armed Citizen, aka what I call the Safe Citizen, news article that I get in the American Hunter magazine because I'm a member of the NRA, the National Rifle Association, and I like sharing these motivational, heroic stories of times where citizens owning a firearm saved their life. And it's very eye opening because it helps people realize that the world isn't Disneyland. Okay? Let us begin. Okay. In Des Moines, Iowa, on January 5th, a man and woman repeatedly walked in front of the doors of a tower apartment building. The apartment manager, who had her younger son at her side, finally opened the door to ask if there was a problem, whereupon the two strangers allegedly grabbed the child. The woman claimed she was the woman's real mother and tried to run away with them. A struggle ensued until the manager drew her firearm and said, "Let go of my kid." The man and the woman walked off and were trailed by security personnel until police officers could arrive. Police told reporters, "It certainly looks like the big turning point here, the pivotal piece to keeping her child safe, was the fact that she was lawfully armed with a handgun." The criminals were later charged with felony child stealing. So a mother, okay, who's the manager of this apartment area property, saved her kid from being stolen because she had a firearm. There are men, especially red pill Muslim men, who infantilize women and make women seem like they can't possibly have the brain cells qualified to handle what a firearm means. But I think you are smart enough and that you can go get online training. You can talk to your local police station. You can speak to different people, part of gun clubs, you name it. Go to the shooting range, practice, learn, so that, God forbid, you ever have to use it, you know what to do, okay? And with education comes precision, and practice makes perfect. And preparedness weeds out shock as much, okay? And so, alhamdulillah, this woman was able to protect her kid when her man wasn't there. A lot of men think they're superheroes and that they're gonna magically appear every single time their wife's in danger, okay? Which is just not the case. And as I shared on my community tab today, the police department has advised people to reinforce their doors due to so many home invasions. So even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you don't leave the house without your man, crime can still come to you. Okay? So know where you are, know where you live, be prepared, be smart, be vigilant, and have courage and be steadfast. Okay? Here's the next one. Early in the morning of January 8th, other bird's bullying the other bird, a 51-year-old man out on parole after serving 20 years for armed robbery forced entry into a home in Taganapoa Parish near Hammond, LA. The man was wearing a ski mask and was armed with a shovel and a lug wrench. Inside the home was a woman and her two young children. A physical altercation took place between the homeowner and the intruder, and the woman was able to defend herself and her children by shooting the stranger. So basically, again, here's an example of a mom having to defend her children and the man not being there. This criminal, who served 20 freaking years, still wanted to do crime. Still just loves victimizing people. He was 51 years old, and he went and tried to harm a mother and her children. Zero respect for the law, zero respect for women and children. Okay? He came to her home. Okay? Her nest. And her children needed her to be prepared. Very important. They said here, excuse me, they had also tied the assailant to a violent carjacking that had taken place a few hours prior to the home invasion. So he's just going about causing crime, causing trouble. What a piece of work, man. Here's the next one. On January 9th, in the small community of Elijah, GA, a 39-year-old previously convicted felon walked into a convenience store and grabbed an energy drink. Then he allegedly pulled a pair of women's panties up from his neck to his face, went behind the counter and pointed a .45 caliber pistol at the clerk, demanding money. One of the customers inside the store produced a concealed firearm and intervened. Another customer left the store to retrieve his firearm from his vehicle and returned to the store, along with a third armed citizen who had been pumping fuel to subdue the suspect. So here we see that in Georgia, you don't need to have a permit to carry a concealed firearm, and 3 people who had a firearm were able to get this degenerate in custody because they're all like, hey man, you ain't gonna do that. That is what actual community policing is. Black Lives Matter activists will say you need community policing instead of cops, but then some of the progressives in the Black Lives Matter movement, which was founded by 3 Marxists, they want to reduce people's rights to the Second Amendment. And so it's fantastic that this weirdo who's wearing women's panties on his face was able to not hurt anybody. Complete scumbag. Here's the next one. At around 5 a.m., that's so early, on January 18th, a man came into a gas station in Avondale, Arizona, with his face covered, mumbled something about rob and money, and then pointed a gun to the clerk and at a customer. However, when the suspect became distracted by another customer, the clerk reportedly drew his own firearm and shot the assailant. So here, this shows as well how store owners at gas stations, they gotta deal with crap all the time. If you go into the hoods in California, like in Richmond, the gas station clerks are behind a bulletproof glass, and it's quite sad. The would-be robber was taken to a hospital in critical condition, and neither the clerk nor any customers were hurt in the incident. While mainstream media accounts often quoted an employment attorney advising clerks against arming themselves, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has found that about 2/3 of workplace homicides involve robbers. I'm not happy I had to shoot him, the clerk told reporters, but I'm not stressing. The moment he pulled the gun on me, he set the situation and I just followed it. He made the situation what it was. Police indicated the clerk would not be facing charges. Alhamdulillah. So here, these criminals, they're just gonna roll over and bulldoze innocent people. Good, law-abiding, hard-working people. And we cannot bend to them and let them run society. No, we don't have to do that. 2 people wearing ski masks entered a clothing store in Hartford, Connecticut, February 2nd, just after 10:30 p.m., likely intending to rob the business. One of the suspects allegedly shot the store's owner in the back during a struggle. However, the owner returned fire with 2 of his legally owned firearms, striking one of the suspects several times. That assailant, a 26-year-old man, was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The other suspect fled during the altercation and remained at large at the time of reporting. See, what I like about these stories, where the criminal learns he's going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that moment, it really should be talked about more so that criminals know they're not going to do this movie scene where they go and harm innocent people, get bags of cash, and then they get to go party and snort drugs and have a grand old time. That no, it might be their last robbery. Okay, so it's fair for them to fear that their life should be taken. If they know, some progressive moronic politicians made this a gun-free zone, then everybody here is featherless birds. You can't run. I mean, to declaw a cat is cruel. Why isn't it cruel to take away good citizens' ability to self-defense weapons? If you have a safe country, like let's say Japan, right? They have their own problems and whatnot, okay? But if you have a country where there's a lot of thug culture, where horror movies are rampant, there's broken families, you have to allow people to defend themselves against those who are bad. You cannot strip people from tools that keep them alive because others get illegal tools and then go about causing trouble. Now, if you look at how crime has gotten bad now, one could argue that it's also due to the amount of drug use, hallucinations, illegal weapons, and how Hollywood has glorified mafia movies, cartel movies, gangbanger movies, and whatnot, and that this is a form of brainwashing onto the public that gets them to lash out without highlighting the legal consequences. I really do think that people wanting to be criminals to get money and not wanting to work hard is a key factor. Quick, rich types of philosophies. And then the media not highlighting those who work hard. Like, we don't promote hardworking people really anymore, or positivity. But if we started creating, for example, maybe labor camps for criminals, where they have to work hard labor jobs, they're not just going to sit there and do license plates or simple things, but we actually force them to do hard labor, I think less people would do crimes knowing that they would end up in there. But American prisons are good at putting you in a concrete cell in isolation and driving you nuts, but it's not fair for the taxpayer to provide shelter, water, and food to somebody who doesn't contribute to the society, while citizens have to strive and struggle in the chaos and anarchy that can pop up at certain neighborhoods. It would be better to force those inmates to work hard labor jobs. Like if you built a dog food factory and you found a way to secure the inmates in there and they had to work there not getting paid, or even going the El Salvador route. El Salvador has done some really unique, I'd say, harsher conditions for their gangbanger inmates, and the liberals say it's a human rights violation, but I think it's good to treat bad people in a way that they deserve based on how they treated good people. So reform works maybe in the Swedish area, but that's a different country with a different type of demographic problems, different socioeconomic problems, different religious problems, their families, everything is different about them. America has a changing culture, just so many different types of demographics mixing in with each other and clashes, that you have to have a way for each one to serve the nation, even if they go into prison, right? It's not fair to say our prisons are full, therefore let the criminals out so they can cause more trouble. Rather, force them to do hard labor jobs. So pouring concrete, digging ditches, chain them each one by their legs, make them work. Something. But liberals would call that cruel. If you're forcing them to work, that's cruel. Meanwhile, kids in Africa are digging for lithium, for electric cars, for liberals to say they're saving the planet. I just don't get it. But either way, the criminals aren't going to feel remorse unless they suffer. And so we must make them suffer when they go after law-abiding citizens. This was the April 2023 issue, and it just motivates me to keep helping women realize that to be feminine doesn't mean you let criminals do whatever they want to you. There is nothing wrong with being a mother who wants to be more brave in the face of threats. And you have to be realistic. If your husband is working, 5 days a week, 7 to 7, that's a lot of hours of you by yourself. Okay? And you don't know where these criminals are going to travel to. They like to go to the suburbs. They like to go to the safe communities. because those people are more gullible and trusting and a bit naive because they're living in a shire. They're living in a beautiful little place where they let their guard down, and then criminals sneak in. In the hood, people are very well aware of criminals, and they don't have a lot of money, so it's not worth the criminal's time unless the criminal is trying to get practice. And then they level up, according to them, to go for the bigger jobs, which is in suburban neighborhoods. And so if you want to tighten your communities as Muslim mothers, you need to be a safe citizen, get educated, be proactive, and it doesn't make you a bodybuilder or like whatever, a masculine woman. It makes you a smart mama. If I go to a tiger, I try to take his cub, it's gonna rip my face off. I try to take a alligator's egg, well, it's gonna take my foot, isn't it? Even a chihuahua, when it has its pups, if I pick one up, it's staring at me the whole time going nuts. Okay? If I go to a crow's nest and I try to take one of their eggs and the crows are flying around diving trying to peck at my head, trying to get me to go away, then you can see they even offer to protect their babies. You as a woman, you don't need to go, oh, just let some criminal do something horrible to you just so that men online see you as feminine. No. Your family comes first before any red pill guy gets to call you masculine. You need to be responsible and defend your children. Okay? And if you have a sheikh, not that I know one, but who says like women are a woman learning how to use a firearm, astaghfirullah. Don't listen to those men because they live in another country where they don't have that kind of crime, and some of those men would not walk around certain neighborhoods at night. Okay? And so even if they kept their wife stuffed in the closet, that doesn't mean that a criminal is not going to come in and do something to them. And it's arrogant, in my opinion, to think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never going to test you. Okay? You have to be brave, and you can't, go down without a fight. Alright? Be smart, be wise, make things hard for criminals. Don't make it easy. You making it easy makes it worse for the next person, because then the criminal gets more bold and more arrogant and goes farther. So consider joining a rifle association. Go to a gun show, ask questions, make friends. There's the Christian women are one of the number one groups of gun owners. Okay, and don't make them masculine. Heck, there's even Black Panther communistic black women who are into the Second Amendment. So there's all kinds of women who recognize how dangerous Earth is. Muslim women don't have to be carpets for criminals. There's nothing in Sharia law that says a woman cannot defend her and her children's life from an assailant. Okay? So don't listen to these teenage boys who live at home with their moms, who don't have a family to protect, don't even own a car, can't even afford to rent their own place. There shouldn't be of any concern to you because they don't even have the maturity to be a protector. They live in the video game fantasy where they think they know but they don't know. And so you as a mama, especially an American mom, have been given the beautiful opportunity for the Second Amendment opportunity, and you need to make sure you do your best. Get educated, get informed, learn the laws, get around people who know, practice, okay? Be vigilant in your community. You need to prepare, and if you never have to use it, alhamdulillah. But if you did need to use it one day and you didn't do it, you're gonna wish you did. Hopefully there's somebody there to protect you who did have it. And with this series, I have shown countless times of old grandmas using it, old grandpas, pregnant women, women who were in the shower when the criminal came. Could you imagine how scary that would be? Again, be wise, be steadfast. Hope you're doing well. And if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Supports the channel, and you get to see a lot of things that I don't post on other social media because I want there to be exclusive content for just the Subscribe Star subs. So consider joining.